You are muted.
Oh, right. I am muted. That's not my name. That's
It's
not
just
my
that
name.
it's that kind of day, folks.
Well, so welcome to Focus on You with Phil, Oscar, Ransom, Mona, and I believe Michelle is on the
And
line.
company.
Michelle on the phone. Hey, Michelle, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
All right, all right, all right. We got you connected. All right, we have some we have some really famous PNN folks on here. Of course, everybody knows Ransom by now. He's our AKA Nightwing. What's
That's right.
up?
Man, the myth, the legend, right? Isn't that how you introduced me?
Absolutely. The man, the myth,
legend.
and the legend. We have Mona Ostrowski, who is with us again. Mona Lisa, what's going on?
Oh my God, I'm so excited to be back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We love having
you guys so much.
We love having you. You're our queen of the hill. And of course, everybody knows Oscar. He's in a spaceship right now.
I'm a legend in my own mind. Here I am.
So Oscar, how is it in the far beyond right now?
Right now, it's good. It's nice and quiet. We haven't hit any asteroids, so we're pretty good.
Okay, great. That's great. I see R2D2 behind you, so you're in good
working.
hands.
He's working it. Yeah,
absolutely. And of course, we have Michelle, who's on the line. Michelle, it's always good to have you as well.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. So today, what we talking about? We're talking about self-love, right? And of course, you guys you were on the program with Mona, the Ula Corner, and that was an amazing conversation. And so we figured we're just going to tie in. We're going to tie into that conversation and really just talk about the value and the importance of self-love, because you can only love others to the capacity that you love yourself, right? And so if you have a small capacity, and we're also going to talk about the definition of it, because if you really don't know what love is, you remember that old song in the 80s? Was it the 80s? I want to know what love is. That I want you to show me.
Yeah, I want you to singing it.
Yeah. Anyway, you have to pay for the rest of that song.
Phil, we go from show tunes to 80s rock. We get the whole
gamut.
The whole gamut, man.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. Michelle is going to be my backup singer.
I was going to pull some Tina Turner. What's love got to do?
That's where my mind went first. I mean, be honest, yeah, that's where I went.
I love it.
It's actually
love it.
One thing in the lyrics tell some things about that is secondhand emotion. You're like, whoa, what's your deal? So.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it never made. I mean, it sounded really catchy, but when you really think about what she's saying, it's like, no, maybe you're off just a little bit.
Well, no, but that's why we're having a conversation, because again, how people experience love, right? I've seen relationships where the guy would be whooping the daylights out of the girl, and she's like, one guy told me he had to break up with his girlfriend. Listen to this. He had to break up with his girlfriend because she said to him, if you don't hit me, you don't love me.
Right, that's damage.
Oh, wow.
Okay, right?
That's damage.
So this subject that we're on is really a deep tunnel, of defining people having value, first of all, and really being able to connect that value with how they're being respected and treated in a relationship, in any sort of relationship, whether it's parental, whether it's, a husband, wife, girlfriend, boy, whatever the scenario is, there's certain guidelines to love, right? And you've got to be able to read the signs of when somebody loves you, truly loves you, and when somebody doesn't. And we're going to try to help them with that today. How's that? That's a mission. That's our mission, if you will accept it.
Accept it.
Let's do this.
Accept it. Boom. There you go. That's what I'm talking about, right? That's our Nightwing,
That's
guys.
right.
That's our Nightwing.
That's it.
Okay, so Mona, I'm gonna let you start this off. So what
Oh
do
my
you
goodness.
think define self-love to us?
It's actually been a huge topic for me this year, because I came to the realization, and in my chat earlier with Ransom, we talked about 2020. Like I referenced 2020 a lot, and what kind of an impact 2020 had on my life. And I have been my whole life moving from one thing to another. Like it was school, and then it was work, and then it was kids, and then it was kids, and then it was another child, and then it was running a business, and then it was getting another job and moving forward. And I was always on the go, and everything in my life was what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for?
Pause.
Like I was comparing my success, my love of self to where I was, and like what kind of job I was doing, what kind of mother I was, what kind of daughter I was, what kind of wife I was, what kind of everything was from the outside in. Like I was finding my worth through how people around me reacted to me. And come 2020 and we have the lockdown, there was nobody around me, because you were literally within the four walls of your own home. And the friendships that I was starting to build, I had to wait because of everything that was happening, and I had to take inventory of where am I in my life. And I did this deep dive into my own psyche to kind of get to a point where, like, do I even like myself? And that was such a deep, dark journey, to a point where I realized that I don't think I'm enough. I'm not a good enough mother. I'm not a good enough wife. I can always do better at work. Why am I not being at this level or at that level? To which, I'm at the wall. I'm like, I cannot move forward anymore. I'm stuck. And the one thing that came to me is that, well, what the introduction was, you love others to the extent of how you love yourself. And I was like, I need to start building a relationship with myself. I need to come to a point where I actually like myself. I actually love myself. And I think it's not answering your question of what self-love is, but I think, again, we need to just stop. We need to close the curtains of the life around us, of the expectations that we set on ourselves, so that society sets on us, and just really take a deep dive into ourselves and say, how am I? How am I doing today? Am I doing good? Am I okay? And once you kind of pull the curtain back and peel the layers of all of this, I came down to the realization that my whole life was like, I'm not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough, to the point where, well, I just am. This is it. This is it. This is, and I think maybe that's what it is. Acceptance. Self-love is just accepting that I am, and this helped me as well through learning Ula. And you were created by God for a purpose, for greatness and a purpose. And for me to say that out loud, it's taken me probably about a year and a half, just to be able to say I was created by God. Just saying the word God's been stuck in my throat for a long time, but for greatness and a purpose. I was created by God for greatness and a purpose. And I think just accepting that, just sitting in that, has taken me to where I am today, where I am feeling better about me, about being myself. But I also have realized that it's not something where you just flick the light switch and that's it. Woohoo! I'm in love with myself. Yay! High five! No, it's an everyday process where in the morning You just don't look in the mirror to put your mascara on or to put your facial creams on. You look in the mirror and you say, hey, how are you doing? How you doing today? Like, to really just look yourself in the eyes. And it's every day you need to remind yourself, because if not, these old thoughts, they'll keep popping in. So every day, hello, how are you today? How are you doing? And just give yourself grace and move forward.
You know what, Mona, that's exceptional, because you said, I don't know if I'm defining it, but you are defining it, because you're talking about how to identify it, right? The identifying it is really a big part of defining self-love, because you have to have been there to talk about it, right? I believe all of us on the line have been either at a place where we compromise, ourselves so much because we felt compromising ourselves was love, right? Was loving somebody else. So we would cheat ourselves in order to love somebody else. And that's that's not really true. You don't really have to rob yourself in order for somebody else to feel loved or to show love. But that's how sometimes we interpret it. I'm going to go to Michelle, because she's the unseen voice.
That's right.
the voice from behind the curtain.
That's right.
So Michelle, what do you
Mysterious.
think? What do you think,
Well,
Michelle?
First, I'll say that I like being video, so this is like torture not to be able to see you guys' faces, but I'll bring it back to this self-love. I related a lot to what Mona said, and when you first prompted the question to us, what is self-love? I thought it's an unconditional acceptance, and I know Mona used the word acceptance. I guess when I hear the word self-love, I think it sounds almost like foreign to me, where when I go to like dig deep into it, I identify it with pride and forgiveness and acceptance and empathy. Just all kinds of emotions and things are brought up for that, which I guess all would encompass self-love. Because when I think of love and I think of love for another person, I think of I guess I automatically assume all those emotions come with it. So if you love your partner or you love your child, you hopefully automatically you empathize and you forgive and accept and all those things. And then when I internalize it and say self-love, I think of, oh, I love myself. But when I dig deep into the secondary emotions of the acceptance, and although I guess that would be a verb, acceptance is a noun. Secondary nouns, acceptance and empathy and all those things, I don't think I ever really incorporated that into it, just saying it in general, until you prompted me to really dig deep and think what that meant. So I think it's easier to love unconditionally someone else than it is
Right.
to love ourselves, brought up, and there could be a lot of conditioning, because I think when we're fresh out the womb and we're straight from heaven and God, we have that, and then we slowly unlearn it, and then we have circumstances and conditions and all kinds of things that help that to unlove ourselves, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. That makes total sense, because like Mona gave in her example, right? When you're like, I love how you said it, when you could just come straight from God and you come in from that presence and you feel loved and you're loved, and then you come into an environment where it starts to be redefined for you, and then your value starts to be defined, and then you have these social definitions of who you are and how you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to act, and how this is supposed to happen. And then you have these stereotypical definitions, and if you fall for all of these artificial definitions, eventually you get lost. I'm supposed
Correct.
to be
Absolutely.
I'm supposed to be a lawyer. I'm supposed to be a doctor. And then now you start defining yourself based on your occupation, right? It's no longer I am who I am, and I'm not loved. I'm loved for who I am. I'm loved because I can accomplish this and I can do that and I can give this. And so we're appreciated and we are accepted all because of what we can do.
Yeah, by our titles.
Because of what we offer. Yes, yeah, the titles and yes, I am this. So I deserve this level of respect because I carry this title, or I carry this position, or I'm able to do this. So my values all tied to what I can do. And I remember Joyce Meyer said this once. She said, we are not human doings, we are human beings. And we have to start seeing ourselves as people. let's start with the basics, right? Let's just start seeing ourselves as people. And just the fact that you're a human being, you deserve a level of love and a level of respect just by being human.
And to take that a little bit deeper, I like what you're saying, to accept and a human, but you know what? We start off as a source of energy that is created, that's whole, perfect, and complete. And so if we can go back to that of our source, of like, we were developed and created in this, so therefore we are loved unconditionally. If we can remember that, then it'll be easier for us to carry it out.
Absolutely. I love that. But I'm going to just jump on. I want Oscar got something to say. I know he's like really just kind of like, exactly. Yeah. I saw the hair starting to turn more white. So that's my signal.
Start glowing.
There are so many levels. So, what you guys, it looks like I'm looking down. I'm taking notes on what you guys are saying. And there are so many levels. Where can we go with this? One quick movie that I want everyone to watch to really understand self-love is an old movie called Shirley Valentine. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Mm-hmm. And if you've not seen it, see if can I share the screen for a second? I'll put the poster up there so you can see what it looks like. But Shirley Valentine is a movie about a woman who is a wife, a mother. What was I saying earlier, Ransom? Don't eat nuts in the.
Are you getting choked up, man? It's okay. Get some water.
It's okay to be.
It's on the back. Okay. Come on, we got you.
Yeah, we got you. I know. We know you have some rough childhood.
Oh God.
Tell us what Shirley Valentine.
Share for a second. Yeah, Shirley Valentine. This movie. She's an English mother, and you see throughout the movie that she doesn't like herself because she doesn't like the position she is in life. And you see how when she was a schoolgirl, she was brought down by the teachers, by her friends. Her husband just expects her to have the dinner on the table, regardless of what else is going on. The daughter treats her like a maid. And one day she just up and goes to Greece, and like she's not supposed to do this. And it's a, she basically has an affair with someone, but that's not the point. She starts to love herself. And that's, the point of the movie is you've been conditioned to be somebody in somebody else's eyes, but who are you in your eyes? Learn to love yourself. If you need to break through everything that's happened up until that point, like Mona said, you've had this you want to say God and it's not coming out, and it's like, who told you can't say that? Who made that part of your conditioning? And like we've talked about this before, the subconscious that runs our life, that keeps our heart beating, everything going, so we can concentrate on things. The subconscious has a program that you are who you were told you were when you were 7 years old, which is don't touch, don't do this, don't do that. You're not good enough. That's the bad programming that we're carrying. So, and as I said earlier, when people are angry, when people are like, they don't have enough self-love, to have it overflow onto someone else. So they need constant fulfillment. You know, like I'm angry at this, I'm angry at that, I'm not happy with that. Like, and you know, when I run into people that are, I used to say I used to be annoyed, now I'm just amused, and I distance myself from the person that's yelling and screaming and just feeling sorry for them and saying, what got you to this point? Because your reaction to what just happened really has nothing to do with what just happened. It's a whole big, you know, the last straw type of thing. So what led you to that? What's lacking in your life that you need to lash out to other people? So that, and again, I recommend that movie to find out, you know, what society sees you at, what your friends sees you as what you should be. And then that moment of like, I'm going to love myself, even if I have to go to Greece to find out about it, you know, but just learn to love yourself. And then you can love everybody else.
So I want to put a framer out there. Everybody that's out there listening, we're not giving you permission to run away to Greece. I'm just saying, like,
I just happen to have a villa there for rent. So if anybody
don't tell your spouse, well, Oscar said I should. Like, no, we're not saying that. No, we're not getting middle.
And if your husband wants to call anybody, let him call Oscar.
Yeah,
yes, somewhere in the scheme of this, you know,
one of these squares is me.
So yeah, Ransom, what do you have to say on all this?
See, this is great. I love going last because I can pull in everybody's stuff and I seem like awesome. I love it. I don't like when you go first and like my answers tend to be really long. I was really considering it and really milling on this. I want to give them, you know, somebody just something really simple. And for me, I think it comes back to this. It's self-love. Like Michelle talked about, you come from God, you love yourself, you see yourself perfect, whole, you already have this. And before all these situations, everything happened to you, then a lot of times for me, it's around the word rejection.
Ooh.
So either someone
rejects
you. I felt rejected in this moment. You didn't take care of this need of me, so it's rejection. They reject me because Michelle's talking about I didn't measure up enough. Mona, I wasn't here. You know, I said the name of God, going with what Mona said, and you know, Michelle has mentioned this. Then somebody's like, "You don't do that." It's the power of rejection. So for me, it was around a situation with the father, because, you know, guys, like that's my passion. Oscar knows it, you know, Phil knows it. I think Mona and Michelle is to coach men, and really around their identity. And a lot of that for people across the board, every conversation I have, people are struggling in life. What it is, there seems like there's this rejective piece with the father. They never knew their father. And when their father was around, he was one hard to deal with. And that's the power of a father. With my father, there was a situation where he rejected me. I wasn't up to a standard, and he's like, I can't believe you can't do that. And it's like, So self-love for me started to make a powerful decision to rejecting myself. I was no longer going to walk in that. Like, no, that's not happening. I'm going to choose to love myself. I rejected rejection. I'm like, out of here. So that would be it.
I have a way to combat that with people, and it's my natural reaction, and I mean it sincerely. When someone says something really nasty to me, I just say, you realize if you knew how little I valued your opinion, you wouldn't even bother telling it to me.
Love it.
Your opinion is coming from your set of filters. So it's your opinion. It's fine. It just doesn't apply to me. Thank you. Thank you for offering it, but it's just not worth even considering. Thank you.
So yeah, my mind goes a little bit different place too with that. That's great. I think I might be like, wow, thank you for your opinion, and I'll consider that. Like, just I'm more of a deflecting type, so I probably.
Oh, you're not from the Bronx, obviously.
That's it, man.
Yeah, you know what? That's definite. Now I love that you said that. I love that you said that, Oscar, because One second here. I love that you said that, because here's the deal. How much of our loving ourselves comes from our environment?
I was just going to
Right.
say, because I feel like this is something generational as well.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that you're being taught from generation to generation, you know, you're being shown how to or not to love yourself. And when I look at the women in my generation's past, I definitely feel like there were circumstances, trauma that happened, say, in my grandmother's life that affected her in such a way that it then later, affected my mom, which, in her own way, kind of, trickled that back down to me. So I really think, society, our surroundings, absolutely. But I also think if we look at it from a generational point of view, I definitely think it's something that is being not taught on even like in a familiar situation. I cannot sit here and say that my mother or my grandmother taught me how to love myself.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Michelle probably knows Dr. Bruce Lipton, the epigenetist, said that
Yes.
they did experiments on rats, and the rats love peanut butter. All right. But if they shocked the rat enough every time they went to have peanut butter, it took 2 generations for the rat to not run away from peanut butter. So there's this weird genetic information being sent down from your grandmother to your mother to you of a certain thing that has to be in place. So if you have genetic memory and you don't know it, then you're a slave to what you're supposed to do. But like I say, knowledge is power. Now, if you know that there is genetic coding that makes you think you have to be a certain way, you can say, I'm going to change that genetic coding starting now, and just get away from that.
You know what, Oscar, I really don't think, and then we want Michelle to say her piece, because we can be seen, and of course the mysterious voice from beyond.
Disembodied Michelle will be.
But the thing is that I don't think that people take the time, or even are able to even find the time to go that deeply into it. And also the value. I don't even think they see the value of really examining their inner life that way, right? So if you don't see value in something and you just figure, well, if I just keep doing, then I'll be more valuable, right? Eventually, when especially after you've done all, right, you've done everything, and still the people that you desire to love you don't love you, what does that say? I mean, for most people, it's a warpath. Now, since the person that I wanted to love me didn't love me, I'm going to lash out on everybody. Everybody is the enemy. You reject me, I'm going to reject you. And so now it's just like you said about rejection. That's why it was so powerful about that. It's a
preemptive reject. I'm going to reject you before you can reject me, because I've been rejected.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like preemptive, like you're talking about, like Oscar.
Well, like they say, hurt people hurt people.
Absolutely. Michelle, talk about it. You want to go in on this one?
Okay. I could not agree more. When he said preemptive, it's not even, I mean, it could be, but not so much as like a defensive, but it's like I'm going to do this before I can even open up myself to be hurt. And I relate to that 1,100,000,000% when I previously related to that in past relationships where the person had nothing to do with me. Maybe they wanted to go hang out with their buddies or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, so you don't want me? Okay, well then, yeah, you know what? I don't want to do it. And I went in this whole big thing. And it was like, the person would be like, what's going on here? Well, I thought you didn't want to hang out with me. And it was like my head, I had all this stuff that was like, I was already feeling rejected when they weren't even rejecting me. It had nothing to do with me. So in the grand scheme, we have to find that, and Phil, you said it perfectly when you said that we're maybe more important or more productive or seen as something else if we're helping everybody else. And so we put ourselves secondary, where if we put ourselves first, well, there's a couple things with it. Number one, it's like you're not being self-centered, you're not being egotistical, you're not being all those things that are labeled bad. But when you take care of yourself first, then therefore you can help everybody else even better than trying to serve them first and then serving yourself, because there's all kinds of baggage that goes on with that if we're serving someone else first.
Yeah. That's really so true. And
then we get the other problem is when you say, all right, I got to take care of myself so I can take care of others. People that don't understand that's like, wow, it's all about you. It's all about you. What about
selfish.
me? What about me?
Yeah.
There's another great movie on this topic as well. Everybody, I'm sure, knows about Wayne Dyer. And Wayne Dyer made this awesome movie called The Shift. And he addresses everything that we've just talked about in this chat about how the external things is how we define ourselves. But if we really just, peel back the layers and look at what is it that really defines me, and then just follow that. And I think that's really a great movie to watch on this topic as well. The Shift with Wayne Dyer.
Mm-hmm. One of the things, I was able to talk to someone the other day, and I just felt led to talk to them about the borders of self-love, right? And because when I grew up, I thought, as I was growing up and I was developing, I thought loving people meant trusting everyone. It meant inhaling everyone, bringing everyone in to my life whenever they wanted to come in, no matter what time of day, have no borders. Love to me meant having no borders.
Yes.
And
the yes person saying
yes, because I wanted to be accepted. So yes was my mode of operandi. Right. I'll do anything for you because I love you. I want to show you that I love you. So I want to do everything to you. And I'd say there's certain aspects of my life I still deal with that. Right. But what I'm learning is borders are important. And in fact, it's a defining factor in seeing if people actually do love you. I find that when you have your borders set up, if your friends say, well, forget your borders, man. You should be available to me 24/7. Oh, no. My borders there are for self-preservation, right? I need time to myself. I need time to have my mind renewed. Like you said, Ransom, there are times that I need to actually not be around people. And if you can't value, now here's how I started defining my friends. If you can't value my borders, then you really I have no space for you.
You're just needy.
Yeah, exactly. You get my point. If you say to me, Ransom, look, man, I got to tend to my family, I can't really talk to you right now. And I'm like, well, I thought you were my friend. Whoa. Being my friend doesn't mean that I'm going to compromise my family time for you or my personal time for you. You have to really know that if you're my friend and I say to you, look, I'm not in the space for that right now. Respect. Cool. All right. I totally understand.
We talk a lot about this in ULA when it comes to two
Yeah.
of the 7 F's about
the
family,
friends, toxic
and
relationships,
yeah,
family.
toxic,
Yeah.
toxic relationships, and we identify. We encourage our clients to identify 3 circles or draw out 3 circles, and then within, say, in a friend circle, you identify your 5 most closest friends, and that it doesn't have to be 5. It could be, I don't know, 2 friends and a pastor or a mentor or a coach within your inner circle. But again, like you said, there's a boundary. There's a boundary around that relationship. And then you move on to the next relationship, and then, the next circle and the next circle. And it's all about basically preserving yourself and like you talked about, Phil, and being, putting yourself first and allowing only relationships within your circle that actually, feed you and nurture you and help you and make you feel good about yourself.
Absolutely. Ransom. All right, go ahead, Oscar. Go ahead.
That the song, the Meatloaf song, is going off in my head. The lyrics are, "I will do anything for you, but I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that." So like, no, it's like that's past the boundary.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe boundaries are very important in discovering self-love, because you have to be able to spend some time with yourself. Right.
That's the scariest place for most people. Is to walk into there.
Someone said, if you would say out loud to someone else what you say to yourself in your head, there would be restraining orders and all sorts of police activity around you.
Yep. And that's where I've talked about before, your mindset, your mind, that your self-talk, those things, the subconscious would place throughout there. Like you do something like, I can't believe I did that. That's so stupid. You're telling yourself, you're conditioning yourself to that.
What are some of the things that what are some of the things you have said to yourselves? And I'm gonna start with Michelle and work our way around. I'll go last. I'm gonna tell you last.
You had to pick me.
I picked you first.
That's what happens when you show up late.
Yeah. So what are some of the things you've had to battle to get, beyond that? What do you say to yourself?
How vulnerable do I want to be right now? Wow. Okay.
So it's only us. It's only us 4. So fine.
Really? Okay. You know what? Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay. So I've gone from, I've gone the whole gamut. I've gone anywhere from how stupid could I be to a lot of physical stuff, whether it be the, female attributes, they're not big enough, or I have fat here, or this is jiggly there, to not being qualified enough, whether it be like education-wise or not enough friends. I mean, truly, if I went through every F, the 7 F's of ULA, I can pretty much assure you, with the exception of maybe, no, fun would be in there too. I didn't have fun enough, or I wasn't fun enough, or I wasn't physically fit, whether it be mentally or physically. I didn't have enough money, or I don't have that advantage. I mean, for anybody who's like really giving themselves a hard time, I would dare to compare that I might be one of the worst of previously. I've done a lot of growth, but from my days of living from birth till now, a lot of really mean stuff to myself. Nothing like cussing myself out or something, but just not boosting someone's ego up.
And what was one of the things that helped you to get out of that?
Going to a therapist and learning I am affirmations, and learning that, whether I believe it or no matter, it doesn't matter if anyone believes it, as long as I can continue to affirm these I am positive affirmations, and then it just clicked one day. And
got you.
It all has to do with the positive affirmation, my spirituality, and then, you know, my therapist helping me see the light of like, okay, you are trapped in this endless cycle. We're about to pull you out of that.
All right. That's awesome. Oscar.
Oh, it is. Oh, where do I start? Come on. Let me see the fill in the I'm not blank enough and just fill in whatever you want there. That whole
Wow.
the whole thesaurus of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And basically, you know, again, going through everything that you're taught as a kid and conditioned as a kid in that mindset of, you know, you're not good enough, you're not this enough, you're not that enough. And like I said, you know, if I've said that to other people out loud, there'd be restraining orders, but it runs in the head all the time. And so my answer to that is turning the word impossible and putting an apostrophe in there and making it I'm possible. And, you know, whenever it's like, oh man, this is impossible. No, I'm possible. I can do this, find out what's going on. The other thing is taking responsibility, I think. One of the things that brings you out of childhood into adulthood is taking responsibility. One exercise I did once, they said, you know, what's the worst thing that happened to you? And this, and this. Like, what did you do to cause that? And all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, well, you know, so it's like, okay, so that terrible thing happened to you because there was a spark that you set off. So if you take responsibility for what you did to get to that point, now you can say, okay, I can't blame that person because I actually put it into motion. So whenever, you know, I go into blame, it's like, all right, what did I do to set this in motion? So I can't blame the other person because I found out there is something that I have to take responsibility for. So I think that's the main thing. Take responsibility. I think Wayne Dyer or somebody, I have it there on the refrigerator. It's like everything that's happened in your life is due to the decisions you've made.
Wow.
I mean,
I love that.
As an adult, you know, as a kid, you're, and again, that's where you draw that difference between being a child and being an adult. You can't control things as a child, but as an adult, you can say, okay, I'm taking responsibility. So everything that happened from this day forward is because of the choices I made.
And the earlier you do that, the better.
Yeah, I chose to go over the speed limit. I got a speeding ticket. You know, I chose to do this, and these are the consequences. So yeah, every consequence is what you chose to do, whether it's a good consequence or a bad consequence.
My question to you with that is, do you choose your consequences? Because sometimes we choose, like we were talking about, sometimes we put ourselves in our own courtroom and we choose our own consequences. Everybody else might be, it's fine, you're forgiven, man, go ahead. But you go home and you put yourself in that courtroom and say, I'm still guilty.
If you're responsible enough to say, yeah, I'm guilty, what do I do going forward? As opposed to, yeah, I'm stuck, you know, and one of the loops in your head is like, I always blank, you know, I'm always doing this. I'm always doing, and you set yourself in, you know, the higher voice says, yeah, you're right. You're always doing that. You know, again, when you're talking out to the universe doesn't understand they only understand whatever it is you're saying. It's like, I don't want to be poor. The universe says, you want to be poor. Okay, got it. Here's more poordom for you, you know? So again, it's like, there's so much we can go into, but learning how to talk to yourself, learning how to talk so you can progress and get out of, you know, the mind slavery of it's somebody else's fault for everything.
Wow. Mona, what's yours?
Well, first I'm going to let Michelle say goodbye because she has somewhere else to go. So
okay. All right. No problem.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for being here.
Yes, thank you guys. I appreciate it. And I will be visual next time.
Hey.
Thanks, Michelle.
All right. You guys have a good day. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Bye.
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 Go ahead, Mona.
Well, I was going to say something similar to Oscar about it boiled down when I had my meeting with the wall. I'm quite literal about that. I took everything that I was thinking about myself, and I wrote it down on pieces of paper, and I taped it on the wall, and I lay there in my own thoughts for hours, just looking and reading and reflecting and thinking. And once I'd done that for a few hours, I called my husband and I was like, okay, I want you to read it back to me as if you were saying this to me. So he read it back to me, everything. And it was everything from you're fat, you're ugly, you are not good enough, you're a horrible daughter, you're a horrible mother, you're a horrible parent, you're a horrible. I wrote everything down on a piece of paper. I stuck it on the wall and I sat there in my own thoughts and I reflected on it for hours. And it was hard, it was humbling, it was educational, because I really had to face what is it that I'm saying about myself, because I was so tired of my own self and how I was feeling about myself, and this constant never being enough. And I had to really sit down and sit in it for a while. And you know, it's yeah.
That's awesome.
It was it was.
That's a journey. It's a journey. I mean,
it really was.
Yeah.
And
you have to be brave to face yourself. I'm convinced that the bravest people are the ones that take the task of facing themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, there are people out there that will be like, you know, no, but listen, you take that journey and say, I'm going to face myself and I'm going to confront this part of me. It's not the easiest thing in the world.
And there was so much, like when I called my husband in the room, there was so much shame, you know, in hearing him say it out loud. There was so much embarrassment in hearing it said back to you. And especially by somebody that, you know, I love so much, and somebody that it has always, since the day we met, told me how, like, you're worth so much more than what you think.
I got a question. Did he know until he read those things that was in your head?
No.
Wow.
He knew some of it.
Yeah.
So the closest person to you still didn't have that depth of knowledge of.
Which is why I said there was so much shame attached to hearing him say it back and having him kind of live through that moment with me. And
that's good. I think that's a great exercise.
And it was good, because I also said, read it back and then ask me why. Why are you not skinny? Why are you fat? Why are you ugly? Why are you? And in doing so, you know, stories, incidents came up. Like, this is gonna sound horrible, but I remember the day vividly when I was like, okay, you know what, I'm just not pretty. I'm not a pretty person. And I was at a party, and I was sitting just, you know, having a drink with my friends, and this guy next to me grabs a beer bottle and he went boom, and it stopped literally like an inch away from my forehead. He looks around at me and he said, "You're so ugly."
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, wow. He was willing to go to that extent.
Wow.
To tell me how and I was like, it just manifested in me. Okay, I'm ugly. And I was probably like 18, 19. I'm European, so we're allowed to drink at 18 in Europe. But it just got so stuck in me, and I wasn't at a level of awareness where I could say, "Oh, he's just projecting his own, you know, low self-esteem."
Right. You're not thinking that.
I wasn't at that, you know, awareness at that age, and I was like, "Okay,
wow.
I must be really That must
I
be
got a
really ugly.
I got a great tie-in to that. That when someone is that mean and nasty, I was fortunate enough. The universe put me on a bus on the way to Yonkers. It was raining, and a church lady got on the bus, Bible in her hand and her umbrella under her arm, and it just back when you used to put change into the bus, and she put the umbrella under her arm, and it was dripping on some kid's foot who was literally sitting out there with his feet out in the aisle. So his feet shouldn't have been there anyway. So the thing is dripping on his foot, and he starts screaming at this little old lady. I'm like, oh my God, and she just turns around with a smile on her face. She says, "It's too early for you, Satan. I know that's you." And she turned around and walked, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, "You're done." There is no answer to that you can top what she just did. So it's like, yeah, it's not me, and it's Satan trying to get to me early in the morning. I could see through that, so it's okay. And she just walks away. And I told that to someone who was a self-defense instructor, and she said, "I'm going to be telling that story in my classes as part of self-defense."
Mental self-defense.
And it's funny because, at work, I had told that story, and for years you'd hear someone was on the phone having a conversation and hang up the phone, and you hear, "It's too early for you, Satan." And they just go on with the day.
That's an awesome story, man. Thank you for sharing that, Mona. But I want to get to Ransom on this question because,
Sure.
We're running out of time. So, Ransom, just tell me real quickly just what your journey was, and I'll share mine, and then we'll go ahead and close.
Yeah, and so here again, I get to be last. I get to kind of bring
No,
it up.
actually, I'm going to be
very
last.
Oh, you
But
learned.
I get to make it look so concise and seem like
Of course,
so brilliant.
Focused. Yeah, of course, yes.
But the thing about it is really, for me, was learning to take every thought captive and examine it. Is it truth? Is it not truth? Is it that? And there's a great quote that is this. And this is from an emperor in China, Lao Tzu. And he says this: who controls others may be powerful, but he who masters himself is mightier still. So meaning, if you can love yourself, master that inner world, you're going to be mightier more than ever, more than controlling someone, which that could tie in with looking at the need to control others because you were controlled because you don't love yourself, that whole piece. So those would be the two things out there. Anybody's listening, take every thought captive. First, learn to master or master loving yourself. And then that way you can more fully love the world.
So what I'm saying, what the question though is like, what have you had to deal with in your own walk in taking those thoughts captives? Like, what are some of the battles you've had to fight?
The main one that I examined down is really the rejection piece. I gave it so powerfully out there because it was the rejection. I was rejected by others, so I rejected myself. Just like Mona was talking about. Dude rejected her, and so she's like, "Oh, I'm ugly then," because there was a rejection piece. Even if there wasn't a romantic interest, there was something in there. And I bet if she dug even further, there would be even a closer example. But here again, it comes around male figures. A lot of things, like a lot of the rejected pieces. That's my thing. I always come back and I always say, it's a man in some way rejecting it, and that's for me personally. So I had to examine those.
Yeah, I you know what? I'm going to segue from that aspect of it too, because there's a lot. There, like Oscar said, there's a myriad of I ams that I had to affirm for myself, right? And I had to redefine for myself because as time went on, my list started out very small. Subconsciously, my list started out very small. And then it just started getting longer and longer and longer, right? Because there was so many things I felt that I didn't line up with. And my father was a pastor. So it was like, Then there became these outside expectations. Well, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, you got to be this, you got to be that. And, so there's this pressure, and then, and overall you start realizing, who's going to define who I am. Right. And so for me, the struggle was I was dealing with so many things internally, especially after my father died. Identity became something that if it wasn't, I believe it wasn't for the word of God, if it wasn't for the Bible, it wasn't for, I wouldn't say church, because that's a whole other story, right? I would say my experience with God and in him having an active part in my life. If it wasn't for that, I think that I wouldn't be the person I am right now, because there were just certain things that would happen. I would meet, I would say that I've been blessed in meeting people at the right time, in the right space, right, that I'm in. And so I struggled with just thinking I was worthy, right? That was my biggest struggle. Like, putting other people first was my MO, is my MO still, it still is, but in a different way. In that beginning stage, putting people first meant crippling myself. And then I started realizing that in crippling myself, I have no strength in empowering other people, right? So I can't kill myself and then say I'm going to empower somebody else, because what am I going to, what am I giving? You're an empty shell. What's an empty shell have to offer anybody, right? So you have to fill yourself up. You have to take that time to value yourself and value your time and value your energy and value everything that you've been given in the space that you've been given it, and really say, I'm valuable. My time is all those things that you've been given. My time is valuable. My energy is valuable. The love I have for others has a value. Do I give that to everybody? No. Right. I don't open it's like you don't open your treasures and just give it to everybody. Some things have to be earned. Some people have to go through your borders. One thing I learned was, like, your subconscious and your life is like a country. You have your own country, Ransom and Mona, you have your own country. And when we meet each other, we have to negotiate. We have to come to terms as to how can we live together, and how can we negotiate our laws together in order to coexist. I have to respect your bylaws. I have to respect the rules of your country. You have to respect the rule of my country. And so in order for us to live together, we have to know what those things are. And so I started realizing that that's why borders are important. Right? Because at some point we have to be able to connect and know what those things are. So that was really my journey. Borders were a big part of my journey. Borders, it was the biggest, it was the hardest. It was one of the hardest things for me to set up, and one of the biggest things that I had to set up. So that's us sharing with you what our journey was like. And that we're not talking to you from a perspective of, well, we have reached and we have arrived, and we all are wearing, all of us are capes, and superheroes. Far from it. We are on the same journey. Everyone is on, and we are still fighting some of those thoughts and dealing with it, but we've just become better at it. Okay,
yeah, I like
we're
to say,
aware.
We have dug that hole, but we've stopped digging, where everybody else has dug that hole and just keep digging. We know we're in a hole. Now we got to find our way out.
Right.
Digging the hole deeper first.
And awareness, yes. Awareness is definitely the first step. You have to realize that you're the one digging. Okay. It's very basic, but it's the truth. You are digging the hole, you know. And once you take that acceptance and that responsibility, you stop digging and you start going, okay, let me start learning from people who have been in the hole, who have dug their own holes, and they're kind of getting out of it. And that's how I believe all of us have started our journey. We started tapping into resources, into books, into information of people. Yes, in the coaches and people that have like, okay, I've stopped digging my hole. Now I'm digging myself out. Okay, how are you doing that? It's very important to tap into people, tap into resources that can help you really work your way out of it and actually see some sunlight at some point in time. So we have Ula. We have the Ula family, who is a part of the Phoenix National Network. And we have Mona and Ransom, who are essential parts of that group. And so just want you to be able to reach out to either one of them at any point in time. If you scan the QR code that is on the screen, on your screen right now, then you'll be able to tap into any one of those resources. Mona is on there, Oscar is on there, I am on there, and we will be definitely putting Ransom on there soon. So if you want to reach out to any one of us, please just scan the QR code and fill out the form, and we'll make sure that someone is able to get in touch with you. I want to thank everybody for watching the program. It was fun, right, guys?
It was fun getting in and getting into our stuff.
Yeah, digging
Ripping
deep,
our
you know?
that felt good.
You know, this is my heart. Here's my heart. It's beating.
But
Sharing
here's
the
the
dark
thing, like,
side.
Actually like a scene from Alien. You know, it's like, don't worry, it's out. Now what?
but
Go ahead,
that's the
Ransom.
thing that drives me though, is like, you know, us getting vulnerable, us getting weak, us being there will allow somebody else to step up so they don't have to live in that. I don't want anybody out there to stay in the same pain that I was in, the same cycle. So willingly rip my face off. We've talked about this, take off that mask that I put on to say, here, this is what's actually behind here. Let's go heal together.
Yeah. Hey, I love that. I love that. I love that. Let me tag something to that. As you said that, I know we have to end. We have to end. But just what I want to tag to that is I've gotten to the place now where I'm open to being vulnerable because I know that I'm not the only one with the story. Look at all four of us, all of us, even when Michelle was on, all of us had to take that journey. And it's not a very different journey, right? It's not a very different journey. It's you know, the hills and the valleys may look different. We might come from different points in life, but the journey is still the same. It's still the same words. It's still the same mindset that we have to fight against. And some of us have won certain wars and some of us have lost, and we have to regain and had to regain strength. But overall, you have someone that can help you in the process. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to face yourself, and you really don't have to do it alone. We have been on that journey.
We've lost some battles, but the war is not over.
The war is not over, and we want to help you with that. Go ahead, Mona.
Can I finish it off with a poem?
Sure, absolutely.
Right. So you probably heard it before. It's by Theodore Roosevelt, and it's called "The Man in the Arena." Okay, you guys ready?
Yep.
It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who thrives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who never know victory nor defeat.
Wow.
Always a good one.
Thank you. That was good.
That was a
That
good
was
one.
good. Awesome. 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 Thank you guys again for coming on. Focus on You with Phil and Oscar. Yeah, Oscar is the guy with the gray hair. And we got to go. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And we will see you again next week on Focus on You. Take care.
Bye for now.
Bye.